This is the Prestigious Initiative. Welcome. I'm Chris Bean, and I'm joined by Chris Kent. Hello, Mr. Kent.
Hello, sir.
So today, as we left off last time, we were talking about habits and routines. Today, we're going to go into our own specific habits and routines. And Mr. Kent, you have a interesting name for your book, your journal for this. What do you got?
Yeah, I have my book, just a black composition notebook. And here I keep various things, such as lessons I've learned, kind of in like a numbered list of different things. I keep interesting ideas and phrases I've heard, and I keep my standard operating procedures in my book. I call it the Kent Manual for Life, to help me keep everything in order and remind me of the person I want to be. So I thought you were tickled by that. I brought a whole book. You said, "What is that?" I said, "The Kent Manual for Life."
Yeah, I am. I mean, I guess I have something very similar to that notebook. Mine is all digital as opposed to being a physical piece. And how often do you interact with that?
Well, I typically try to add new lessons to it, things that I learn or things that I like. So I at least a couple of times a week, I'll open this up to either look at lessons, add a lesson, or check out an SOP that I haven't run for a while, or always changing SOPs, things like that. So maybe, 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay. Just
I do
on a whim, or do you have like I do it on Wednesday at X?
No, just if I learn something new or if I want to write something down, just on a whim. So I guess, yeah, on a whim. There's no planned manual time per se. But I was going to say, I also do have a digital version of this inside of Notion, but I don't update that one the same way I update the book / use that one as much as I do the book. The physical book to me is different than the Notion. I like to write the actual things. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Notion hasn't implemented the handwriting feature yet, because I know you have an iPad. We both have iPads, and to have the pencil and be able to write and have that be part of the Notion would be amazing, but that has not yet been implemented.
Well, you can write a note, take a screenshot of your note, and put that in there.
I have done that. I've done it because there's a few things that I have that are written down notes, and I needed to link those to a different database, and so I took the picture and put that into that database. That way, it's there, and I didn't necessarily have to recopy it or try to transcribe it into text. So, okay, so sorry, we went off on a tangent there.
Sorry, you just want to tell people about the manual. I understand.
Standard operating procedures, and so I'll go first. I'm sure, like most people or everybody has different times in their life, and as such, my even standard operating procedures that I have now is not the same as it was 6 months ago, and 6 months before that it was different again. And for me, is probably changing a bit more than I would like it to be, because I have small kids, and so in the summertime we have one kind of set thing that we do, and then in school time we have another set things we do. And for me right now, one of my kids only goes to school for a half day because she's just in preschool, and so that changes my procedures as well.
And sorry, before you get into it there, I know we want to talk about our morning routines, but are we doing a morning routine, a night routine, or anything in between? What did you have planned for that?
So I'll do my morning routine. I'll let you do your morning routine, and then we'll do an evening routine, and then your evening routine. Then if you have any other kind of things that happen, kind of in the middle of the day, I guess we can go back. Maybe that's kind of out of order, but I think
I think that's good. Yeah,
having a stapled morning and a stapled ending routine, and at least for me, my day fluctuates depending on what day of the week it is, or what tasks or projects that I have working on for that time period. So for me, morning time, I get up first thing that I do, like immediately I go to the bathroom and turn the lights on, and it's like the being on the sun, and it's like going from being in a cave to being on the sun is blinding. And I think that kind of is my body's signal to, hey, it's morning time. Don't go back to sleep. Don't, you're up now. And then right from there, I get in the shower.
I just had a mental picture of you walking in the bathroom, turn the light on, and then your eyes, growing double wide and just staring at yourself in the mirror with gigantic eyeballs.
No,
time to wake up.
No, not quite. I don't. I turn the lights on and my eyes are fearful to be opened.
So you clamp them shut.
Yes, and then I have one eye closed and the other eye's open, and then I gradually open the other eye, just so I can function and do stuff.
All right. Well,
I'm sure you understand. Like you've been in that situation. You just like it's dark and it's pitch black, and then I close the bathroom door because my wife is still sleeping. I close the bathroom door. Holy cow! Look at this! It's the sun in here. Good golly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So that is my body's signal, like, hey, okay, it's time to get up and be awake and alive.
Are you ever fearful that might be a little too jarring?
I mean, no.
Okay.
I haven't yet been. Maybe
sure,
I should be.
I guess I'll get into it later, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay. So anyway, from there I go to the shower. Do the showering of like get clean, and then I do all my brushing my teeth and deodorant and cologne and all that. From there, and by the way, I wear my Apple Watch to sleep, and I use that to track. I also have the Aura Ring. I use that to track too. But as soon as I wake up, I take my Apple Watch off. I put it on the charging stand. Then I go do the shower and everything. From there, without touching any electronic devices, after taking my Apple Watch off, I come down, in fact, to my garage where we're recording this at right now, and I sit and I set a timer and I read for 30 minutes. And in this area, there's no clock. And so I know the time that I got up, and I know I have, X amount of time that I was in the shower and getting ready and fully dressed, and I come down. I know I have my time dedicated for this. And so I set my timer. I have 30 minutes that I read on a daily. From there, after my reading session, as I'm reading, maybe we'll go in, maybe in another future episode, we go into like how we read and highlight and take notes and stuff. But anyway, so from there, after I read, I go in, and when I go in, I am eating breakfast. I eat breakfast. Sometimes I eat a bowl of cereal. Sometimes, something, I don't know, something kind of quick, kind of like that, I suppose. But while I'm eating breakfast, I have a Bible study that I'm doing. Right now, I've been going through the 10-minute Bible hour. Hopefully I got that right. I guess I should check. 10-minute Bible hour podcast, and he's bringing us through the book of Matthew, and it's super, super detailed and thorough, which is really, really awesome. And that, that's I do that as I'm reading. I'm just checking. Yeah, it's a 10-minute Bible hour podcast. And anyway, so we go through that, and he's going through the book of Matthew, really, really thoroughly, giving lots of backstory. And it's not boring in any stretch of the imagination. He's linking things to Star Wars and to Mad Max, and it's just really interesting to have that kind of almost new light on the Bible. So from there, then I would go into my cleaning routine, and I have a handful of things that I do in the morning, kind of start the day for cleaning, and then that brings me up to about 7 o'clock. And 7 o'clock is when my morning routine is done, and then it's the kids' time to get up and get them ready, and then out the door. And so that is I would say, typical standard day for me. I get up, shower, read for 30 minutes, do a Bible study for, it's a 10-minute podcast. Sometimes I do 2, so, give or take 15, 20 minutes. Clean, then it's the time to wake up the kids and get them off for their day.
And I don't know if you mentioned, what time do you normally wake up?
Yeah, my goal is to be up and active before 5:30. So I try to shoot for 5 o'clock. Sometimes it doesn't happen exactly at 5 o'clock, sometimes a little later, but I do my best to be up and active by 5:30.
Yes, sir. And you say that, like you said, that's your current routine.
Yes.
do you think that is your optimal routine, or is that just what's working for now? And I guess what I mean by that is there anything you've done before that you wish you could get back to, or is there anything that you want to add to your routine that you think would make it even better?
Yeah, so I don't know how long ago it's been. A couple years, I guess, at best. I read Extreme Ownership from Jocko Willink and Leith Babin, and I got on the 4:30 time, and that was really good for a couple different reasons. It got me. In fact, I think that was. I've read books before, but that was one of the first books I read, and I was like, okay, I want to continue reading and do reading and read more and more, which is really, really helpful for me. And so I was on the 4:30 time, and 4:30 worked really good. I was able to be up. I was reading. I was being productive in the morning time. I then started reading Why We Sleep. And I that completely tweaked, modified, threw off my early morning time, and I read, as I was reading that book, I saw signs all over of, hey, don't wake up early. Don't, sleep is better for you than being productive and waking up in the morning and doing things. And so it kind of put that in a different light for me. And it was then really difficult to be up, because in my brain from reading that book, I was learning, I need to sleep in to do this or that or whatever. And so from the 4:30 time, then I got on a 7 o'clock time, which, if you remember, I wake the kids up at 7 o'clock. And so waking up at 7 o'clock, getting the kids up and being able to be out the door by 8 o'clock, that was tough. And I went through a handful of months, maybe a whole quarter, 3 months or so like that. And I don't want to go back to that. So
Sure,
I think between the 5 and 5:30 time has been really kind of optimal. I get my reading time in. I get to clean. If I could add something, I would like to add maybe a half-hour writing session. That would be really nice. I would like that. Do I miss writing? Yes. Is it going to come back eventually? Yes, it will. I will ease that into my morning system.
But you do journal at some point in the day.
I do journal. Yeah, I do.
So journaling and writing are two different types of writing.
Yeah, I was explaining my journal to somebody a couple weeks ago, and he said it's not really journaling. It's like a log. And so my journal, in the morning time, I journal in the morning time and in the evening time, which sounds extensive, but my journal in the morning time is I put in there the time that I wake up. I set my intention for the day, which is it's a Notion. I have a drop down of 15 or so different things. What is my intention? And then I put in, what am I looking forward to? I type in something, and that's my morning journal. And then my evening journal is a little bit more intensive than that, but I'm not like, dear journal, today I feel like, no, I don't. I don't necessarily have that, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It just, for me, that's not journaling, and I do the journaling because I want to be able to track those different things and see where I was at and how I incorporated all those things into my day. And so when we go to the evening time, and we'll do that in a few minutes, I'll talk about what I journal in the evening time. But yeah, so my journal in the morning time, I don't consider that time spent writing. It would be more of a log as opposed to an actual journal where I'm, writing or typing pages of how I felt and how I went on with my day.
Sure. I think journal is an adequate term. Maybe more of a feeling type thing. We'll call that a diary.
Sure.
Your diary is how you feel and what crushes you have on who and who made you feel a certain way. But maybe a journal can be more of a log. I don't think that's a universal term, but we'll use that for our conversation.
Understood.
I don't keep a diary either, just so we're on the same page.
And I would almost say that men keep a journal and women keep a diary. And maybe if we're
going to split it in half like that, sure.
Yeah,
I guess we can say
at
that.
At least that's in my head. That's the terminology that it is for me. And maybe that's not the right way to think about it. But
I don't know if it's quite black and white like that. But for
sure.
the sake of this discussion, we'll go with that.
Yes.
So I guess I'd ask those questions because I'll give you a different approach to my morning routines. I'm going to tell you the morning routine I ran for, I don't know, it was about 2 years ago, year and a half ago or something. I ran it for a while and it was perfect. I loved it. It was so great. I loved every part of it. But then I got a new job where I had to be up early, four days a week, 4 out of 7 days a week.
So 4 o'clock, 4 days a week.
Well, it varied, but as early as 4 o'clock, I'd have to be up. Yes. So I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And so over time, like you talked about, things have developed and changed. So I'll start with my optimal routine, the one I wish I could do every single day. And then I'll kind of go into what I end up doing, which kind of lies in the middle because we'll get to it. But anyways, my optimal morning routine, 5:30 in the morning. I have my phone next to my bed on the charger. My alarm goes off. At the same time that alarm goes off, there's another physical alarm clock in my kitchen on my fridge that also goes off. So when the alarm by my bed goes off, I can turn that off. Then I have to physically get up out of bed to go to the kitchen to turn the next alarm off because I have problems with hitting the snooze button and then laying in bed and waking up 2 hours later and being stunned that it's now later than I thought it would be. So I need that extra second alarm, sometimes 3 alarms on very rare occasions, depending on when I'm getting up. But I have the one next to my bed, turn that off. I get up out of bed, go to the kitchen, turn the one off that's on the fridge. My kitchen is right adjacent to my bathroom. So I'm already up. I go from the kitchen, go into the bathroom, I shower. I give myself 15 minutes to do all this. So I wake up ideally at 5:30. From 5:30 to 5:45, I'm showering. At 5:45, I'm out of the shower. I go out, I make myself breakfast. Typically, it's a glass of orange juice and oatmeal. That's excellent breakfast. Love that breakfast. That takes 15 minutes. So from 5:45 to 6, I'm eating. At 6, I get up. I immediately wash the dishes that I used so they don't pile up in the sink. I make sure my cat has food. Then I go in the bathroom. I get ready. I put my contacts in. I brush my teeth. I put my clothes on, put deodorant on, aftershave. Anything else I need to do my hair, put some lotion on, whatever. It's about another 15 minutes. So then we're at 6:15. From 6:15, I go back out in the kitchen and make myself a cup of coffee. While the coffee's cooling down or getting to the right temperature because I have an ember mug, I stretch. I do stretches for my legs, for my upper body, just to kind of loosen up a little bit for the day. Then after that, 6:15 to like 6:30-ish, then I sit down and I read. I would typically read from 6:30 till about 7:30 or sometimes 7:45. And then from there I would leave and I would go to the gym to be at the gym by 8 o'clock. And then I'd work out for an hour, hour and a half, whatever, come back and get on with my day. That's my ideal, optimal morning routine, morning SOP. I love that. I did that for a long time and it was great. It was so, so good. I really enjoyed that. But like I said, I got a job that I have to get up early. So sometimes I'm up at 4, up at 4:30, go to work for a couple hours. I can't do that every day. And then on the days that I don't have to get up early, I don't want to get up early. So I'll sleep in and things are different now. So now, typically my SOP is very similar to that, but it doesn't happen until later in the afternoon. So for example, I'll wake up, I'll go to the bathroom. Let's say it's a day at work. So I wake up, I have to be at work at 5 a.m. So I get up at 4:30, go to the bathroom, wash my face off, brush my teeth, get dressed for work. It takes about 15 minutes. And I walk out the door and go to work. At work, I can get coffee, I can get food, I can take care of everything, that what I normally would have done, except for shower, of course, and read and stretch at work. But I do a few things I need to do, then go to work. And then I'll come home from work, and then I'll just do everything else I need to do. And then around 2 o'clock is when I'll perform the SOP. So I go in the bathroom, I shower, I come out, I eat some food, I don't know if you want to call it lunch, around 2 p.m. or whatever. I eat food, then I go get dressed. And then, if I want to sit down and read before I go to work, then I sit down and read and go to work. So I pretty much run the same SOP later in the day just because of the way that everything works out. So the SOP doesn't change as much, but then the timing of the day changes. And then, of course, I don't go to the gym in the afternoon because typically I'm going to work right after I run that SOP in the afternoon. So if I go to the gym, I'll try to go after I finished work from the morning time. So I'll work, let's say again, it was 5, I work to 11:30. I'll try to go to the gym after work at 11:30 and then run the SOP later. So this isn't my favorite way to do it, but it is helping me get the things done that I want to get done, and it fits in with my schedule best. But like I said, if I can have it my way, I would do the first SOP that I listed and just get that done every single day, and it would be awesome. But things happen and things change and things get in the way, so now I'm running this kind of SOP modified from the one that I know that worked really well for me.
And so for that, the ideal morning, how many iterations did you go through before you landed on that? Or how many tweaks or changes did you do?
Well, if you can look across here and see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 7, at least written down iterations of the SOP until I finally found the one that worked. And
how long did you stay with each of those other iterations before you're like, nah, this isn't working?
Some of them were literally a day. The other ones were like a week or 2 weeks, just depending on what it was, and really what it was just a change of things I wanted to do. So like some of these I have, I did some breathing treatments, not treatments. That's not the right way to say it. I did some breathing exercises in the morning, to try to work on some things. I did that for a while, and then I figured, I didn't want to do it, or, I did it where I wouldn't, shower right away. I'd just get up and try to eat and then read. And then I did it where, I wasn't making coffee, or I wasn't stretching, or I wasn't going to the gym after, whatever. I just different iterations of it. Some of them stayed for longer, 2 weeks. I wouldn't say anything more than 2 weeks. So between a day and 2 weeks, I would try different iterations, and then it just finally landed on the one that I like. And there's some days where I do wake up and I try to implement the breathing routine or breathing exercise into the procedure if I feel like I want to that day, but it's not an every single day thing. The other things in there were every single day. Get up, shower, eat, read, gym, every day.
What type of breathing exercise did you do?
Well, you told me about it. It was the Wim Hof. Yeah, okay. The Wim Hof. What's it called? The Iceman?
The Iceman.
Yeah, I did that for a while. Of course, I didn't know if I was doing it correctly, because I feel like every time I hear him do it on a podcast or an interview or in a video, it's slightly different. So, I did something close to, or at least something he did at one point in time, just to kind of center. I don't want to say center like I'm some yoga guru, but to center my body and try to get in touch with those, and that, my biologically, I don't know. I will say the days I did do it, it was helpful. I could tell a difference. And I don't know if I was tricking myself and it was placebo, and I just said, no, I did a breathing, I keep saying breathing treatment. I'm okay. I'm fine. Breathing exercise to try to make myself, center, or try to bring some sort of extra energy. So I don't regret doing it. And there are some days where I would still do it, but it's not an everyday type thing.
Yeah, I guess, so back to my morning, when I was doing this and doing the 4:30 time, I was doing the Wim Hof breathing, I would say almost every day, if not every other day, multiple times a week. And before doing that, I was meditating. I had an app or a protocol that I was listening to on YouTube, and I was going through a meditation for a little bit of time, and then for sometimes I would just sit and be quiet for 5 minutes or something like that. And I would say all of those kind of fill the same need, or have the same or very similar benefits, but the feeling of doing that breathing treatment, as you call it, or the breathing exercises, most people call it, the Wim Hof breathing exercise, it just brings something different that meditating or sitting peacefully doesn't necessarily have. It certainly has that kind of aspect to it, but it has other things as well. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you have no idea who Wim Hof is or what we're talking about, just give him a Google, or even on YouTube, there's guided breathing meditations or exercises that you can do with him. But kind of the quick, long and short of it is you do 30 rapid, or I do 30 rapid inhale exhales very quickly, and then you exhale. And after that last exhale, because your body is hypersaturated with oxygen, it doesn't necessarily have a need to inhale, which sounds incredibly odd if you have never done it before. But you exhale, and then you just kind of sit, having exhaled all of the air that was in your lungs for, I don't know, a minute and a half or 3 minutes or something. And
or start shorter and work up to longer.
But I remember the first. In fact, I listened to that on a podcast, and I can't remember if it was with Russell Brand or with Jordan Peterson, but he was on there, and he's like, "Okay, do it with me." And so they did it, and I did it with whoever they were interviewing, and I did it. I can remember feel like you exhale, and then you have no desire to inhale. You exhale all the air out of it. And it's not like holding your breath or like exhaling and just, okay, I have to inhale at some point. You exhale, and then you don't have a feeling or need to inhale. It is a bizarre, calming experience. I remember like feeling giddy and laughing as I was doing this, especially the first time. I'm thinking, man, this is so weird. I don't feel like I need to inhale. Like, it's just one of those kind of background processes, breathing, that you just turn off for X amount of time. And again, it's not the same as holding your breath. You're holding your breath. It's kind of like you're under pressure. Doing this, you exhale and all the pressure is released. Then you're just at ease. For me, it's a very odd, calming experience. And I'm told there are a huge number of other benefits for doing it, but for me, it has a very calming sense. And so, from time to time now, I use it as a tool in my toolbox, for lack of a better term, that I can pull out if I am feeling excited or aggravated or anxious about something. I can use that to kind of calm down and recenter myself, kind of sort of say.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't do it every day, but I do find benefit in it when I have time to do it. I haven't tried meditation or things of that nature. But the breathing treatment the breathing exercise is the closest I've come to some of that stuff.
For me, the meditation was odd. It wanted you to, relax your toes all the way up to your knees and your thigh. That was really interesting. Again, I tried it for, I think I tried it for about a month. I felt so weird doing it each time, and I'm like, man, I don't know if this is doing anything. And I stuck it out. I did it for a month, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I was searching. Okay, well, I'm just going to do this and sit quietly for 5 minutes and not, try not to think about anything. Yeah, that's a joke. Try not to think about something. That's the hardest thing to do. So if somebody can do that, I mean, good job to sit and not think about something.
I know there's many different types of meditation as well. And I do know that a lot of people do meditation and find great benefit in it. So I'm not trying to knock meditation either. I've never invested the time or the effort to try to figure out a way that works for me, though. So it's not part of my routine.
And for me, I was doing a YouTube video. So I wasn't necessarily getting, I'm sure, the highest quality of exercises for that. But the Wim Hof was a good kind of go-between. And I felt it was a equal parts kind of meditation, but also relaxing, calming, centering, which is what I understand or am told or people say that you get from meditation. Just doing it through the breathing exercises was the route that I felt worked for me.
Sure, yeah. And you probably need that after you wake up on the sun in your bright light, which I didn't mention, but when I get up out of bed, curtains are closed, no lights are on. I walk to the alarm clock in the kitchen, turn it off, still no lights on, because my eyes are adjusted to the black at this point, or the darkness at this point. Go to the bathroom. My bathroom, I have 2 different lights. I have overhead, very bright lights, and I have a night light type function on one of the lights. I turn the night light type function on, so it's very low, very dim light, which of course to me is still bright because it's pitch black out. Then I shower, I come out. When I'm making breakfast and when I'm drinking coffee and when I'm stretching, when I'm reading, I turn on a single lamp.
So the whole time you're showering by nightlight?
It's not a night light, but it's low.
A low
light. Yeah, the light's overhead has a night light function.
Sure.
It's not like a plug into the wall type of night light. No.
You got a glow fish on the wall.
It's an overhead light with the night light type function. So it's just imagine dim yellow light from the light there. So I had that on when I'm brushing my teeth and getting ready. That light is on too. And then I turn on a single lamp when I'm out in the room, stretching, reading, drinking coffee, whatever. And then as the sun starts to come up, I'll open the blinds, turn that lamp off, so then I have the natural light instead. And the reason I do that is because I feel like shocking your system with that light doesn't allow, and I'm sure I heard this on a podcast somewhere, and I thought it was the best thing ever. I thought I was a genius because I heard this thing on a podcast once, but it doesn't allow your body to naturally cycle through the chemicals and hormones, and doesn't allow your body to naturally wake up. And the simplest way to say it. So I've heard that having low light at the beginning of the day, gradually, or trying to mimic the sunrise, is best for helping your body wake up, but then also helping your body to position itself on the timeline. So it's, instead of it being like super bright at 5 o'clock in the morning and your body thinks it's, oh my gosh, it's 9 o'clock in the morning because the sun's out. Your body is able to process that slow, gradual grow of light, and so your body says, okay, it's morning time. And then it's believed to help that prevent crashing later, because then your circadian rhythm and your hormones and the way your body works, everything is more in line with the actual day. Again, not genius about it. I heard it like once on a podcast and started trying to do it, but I try to avoid lots of light in the morning if I can. I prefer that low and then gradual entrance, or letting the light in gradually over time.
I'm having flashbacks to reading Why We Sleep. But all joking aside, I've seen, and I'm sure nearly everybody has at this point, that they have alarm clocks that do that kind of thing where it goes from dark and then kind of gradually gets brighter and brighter and brighter. I've even seen some people take it as far as they set up LED lights in their room and have an automation that sets the lights to different tones and different intensities or brightness throughout their waking time, and they use that as a sort of artificial sunlight to naturally wake them up and bring them out of sleep, which sounds really cool and amazing. I just nope, I go in that bathroom, turn the door, pow, sun. Again, that's worked for me, and I perhaps it isn't the best for me, but I see that as a signal consciously. That's my signal. Okay, it's wake up time. It's go time to I get in the shower. It's go time to get in the shower, I guess. But yeah, that's
I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but
so moving to the evening routine, and I think before we move to the evening routine, it would be perhaps wise at this point to say what our main jobs are, because our main jobs have hours that are vastly different than the quote unquote normal job. And so we are martial arts instructors. There's 2 days a week that I go in and teach a morning class. That's on Mondays and Fridays. So I'm at work at 8:15, 8:30, somewhere around in there. And then every other day, I guess including those days, but every other day I'm in at about 1 o'clock. And so my work day doesn't necessarily start until 1 o'clock. And as such, and maybe we'll go back and talk about kind of the midday, but because of that, I think that kind of offsets what happens in the evening time, because many times we are not getting home from work until between 8:30 and 9:30 in the evening, which most people have already been home for multiple hours at that point. So anyways, I just felt like that probably would be wise to say, hey, I'm starting my evening routine at 9:30 because that's when I get home from work. Everybody's like, what, huh? So now you understand why. Anyways, so evening routine. I get home from work. It's about, between 8:30 and 9:30. I eat dinner because I'm starving. Being at work at 1 o'clock and then being active for, let's say 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're teaching for basically 4 hours straight, and that 4 hours we're actively doing and moving around and teaching and doing martial arts all at the same time, which is, kind of a relatively good exercise for a length of time. So get home, and first thing I do is eat. And fortunately, my wife and kids are, of course, will already be here, and dinner is hopefully already made. If not already made, I have something that I can heat up that they've eaten multiple hours ago, and I can eat that. So get home, first thing I do is that. Then I have what's between, it depends on the day, but I would say between an hour to an hour and a half time with my wife to sit and talk about her day and what we have next and plans for the weekend, and just time to talk, which is nice to have that time kind of preset already in the day. From there, it's between 10, I guess it depends on the day, but between 10, 10:30, sometimes we'll watch a show, sometimes not all the time. But about 10:30, and it doesn't always happen at 10:30, but about 10:30 is where I start my actual wind down routine. And so 10:30 is when I like to be in bed. Now, not sleeping yet, because I think I referenced last time that there's some books that I read, but 10:30 I like to have my body in my bed. And I have 2 books that I read. I have Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, and Jordan Peterson, 12 More Rules for Life. And it just so happens that there's 12 rules in each of those books, and there's 12 months in the year. And so what I have been doing, and I've done this for the past 7 months now, I read 1 chapter a month. And I do my best to read that chapter in the month and then to apply those things to my life. I read 12 Rules for Life, that book. I can't say it's his first book, but I read that book, the first edition of that first one in that series, a couple years ago. It was hugely beneficial to me, as I'm sure if you've read or heard Jordan Peterson, I would assume that you would agree. It seems like most people do. Hugely beneficial. But for me, I didn't feel like reading it one time was enough, that I could actually grasp the things that he was talking about. I didn't see myself, maybe I don't value my brain as much as I should, but I don't think that I could grasp half or more of what he was actually talking about. And so I decided to take 1 chapter a month, read that, and do my best to apply that. And did that for, again, the last 6 months or so. Now we're in January, and this month, actually for Christmas, I got the 12 More Rules for Life. So January, I started doing both books, 1 chapter a month. And so far, I finished the first chapter of both of them. I mean, it's not much to say, 1 chapter, but and it seems so low effort, right? When we talked about low effort last time, read 1 chapter a month. 1 chapter, and I read again for about a half an hour. I like to be sleeping, or at least laying down, eyes closed, by 11 o'clock. So I have that 10:30 to 11 o'clock window for reading, and I do my best to read and absorb that information. Once I'm done with it, I get halfway through the month or something, or I finish early or whatever it is, I'll go back through and I'll just kind of look at my highlights and do my best again to think about, okay, how can I apply whatever this rule is for my life for that month, and then not just for that month, but to continue and move forward. And my hope is that if I continue doing this and just make that a standard operating procedure for however many years, then that will help to improve myself. I would imagine a huge number, multitude higher than what I am now, because I really believe that those things can help to do that. And reading it one time did a lot, but I think there's so much more benefit that can be had from those by having it a continual practice until pretty well daily, or always be in that information. And that, that brings me up to 11, and I'm laying there and eyes closed. And fortunately for me, I do not take very much time at all to fall asleep. So if I turn my light off and 11 o'clock, I would say by 10 after, I'm asleep. I'm out. I think being up at a relatively early time and then being, relatively active for a length of time through the day helps with that. But I don't have much time. I don't have to lay there and think, oh man, I'm so tired. I just can't sleep. Nope. I close my eyes and boom, I'm sleeping. So anyways, that's my evening routine, kind of mixed with my wind down routine. It's not much, but I don't want to be up for multiple hours after I come home from work. It's already, between 8:30 and 9:30. So that's what I got. And that, I would say, that hasn't changed in a length of time. I guess 7 months ago, I added reading Jordan in there. But other than that, that was the one thing that I added in a length of time. Pretty well from there, it's been set in stone.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'll again go through my optimal nighttime routine, and then I'll tell you what I'm doing now, which is less than optimal. But optimally, I want to be in bed by 10:30. So I'll same as you, come home late, eat dinner. Now I know there's people that say you shouldn't eat within X amount of time of going to sleep, but for us, either we don't eat or we eat and then go to bed soon. It's the way that our schedule works. And I think we both have been doing it long enough. It's kind of a non-factor at this point. We're just used to existing that way, for it being like that. So whether or not it's the quote unquote nice or good way to do it, that's just what it is, So then I'll eat, maybe I'll watch some TV and play video games for a while. Which isn't very long considering we get home at like 9. I'm trying to be in bed by 10:30, but you can get a lot done in an hour. So I'll watch some TV, play some video games. On the very rare occasion, do I read before bed? I don't like reading before bed. I don't know why. It's not something that I enjoy doing. I know there's, again, probably good reason to do it before bed and things that are helpful. I know, doing something and then resting is good for retention and growth and helping you remember things, but I don't typically read before bed. So, I'll eat, I'll do something very shortly, and then I'll get ready for bed. In order to get ready for bed, I go into the bathroom, and the same way in the morning, I try to dim the lights as I'm getting ready for bed. So either I have one lamp on or I have the overhead nightlight on in my bathroom. I just want it to be darker as I'm winding down and going to bed. Same idea there is, I want the low level of light to help signal my body to start cooling down and getting ready for bed and starting to relax and shut down. So I'll have the low lights on. I'm in the bathroom, taking my contacts out, brushing my teeth, going to the bathroom, changing my clothes, whatever, just getting ready for bed. After that, I'll come out. Ideally, I have a planner and I'll plan the next day. So I'll sit down and say, okay, tomorrow I know I'm doing this. I'll write it in a list. And that way tomorrow, next day when I wake up, I have all that there and it's ready to go. Of course, things don't always go the way they're planned. You can add things to your plan. You can take things away. But I want to have an idea of what I'm going to do the next day. So I'm planned. I'm good to go. Then I'll stretch again at nighttime, the same stretch as I did in the morning, just to kind of loosen it up and kind of get some extra flexibility training with the stretching. And then I'll go to bed. As I go to bed, I'll maybe put on a video or a podcast or some music, something light, so something to make some noise. Of course, I don't want to have my screen on. So if there's any way I can, I'll turn the screen off while the audio is playing. If it's a video, I actually wear a sleeping mask over my eyes so that the video can play. I'm not bothered by the light of the video. Again, I'm trying to reduce the light as it's time for bed. I'll set a sleep timer on my TV. It goes off after 30 minutes. I'm normally always asleep before I hear the video or the podcast or the whatever it is end that 30-minute sleep timer. And again, it's just being up early, being active and getting things done tends to lead to better sleep, I feel like. So ideally, that's what I do. By 10:30, I'm in bed. I'm asleep by 11, kind of similar to you are. That would be great. If I could do that paired with the morning routine I mentioned earlier, that would be the perfect ideal situation for me. But as it is now, I'm getting home from work. I'm spending 2 or 3 hours with friends and family, and then just going to bed whenever, 11:30, midnight sometimes, having to get up at 5 o'clock, 4:30, 4 o'clock the next day or whatever it is. Yeah, I know it's not ideal. I've been doing it for a while now since I had this new job, but again, it's working for now. It's not exactly what I want to do, but it's working, and I'm able to kind of still get done the things I need to get done throughout the day. Some midday type of procedures. But that's what I'm doing now. And this is working at the current stage and where I'm at.
Yeah, I guess as you were talking about that, you talked about tracking or what something like that you do in the evening time. That
planning.
Yeah, planning. I was like, oh man, I forgot to say that I do my journaling at nighttime, and I was going to talk about what I do. So my nighttime journaling is not, again, it's not much, very minimal type of thing, but I put my energy for the day, and it's a drop down between 1 and 10, how I felt for the day. I set my mood, and there's, I don't know, 15 or 20 different moods: angry, stressed, happy, content, rested, whatever it is. I put that for the day. I rate my day between 1 and 10. I'm going to circle back to that one. But so I rate my day between 1 and 10, 10 being like the best day ever, and 1 being like, holy cow, I should have just stayed in bed. From there, I put my favorite moment of the day. I put what or who I was thankful for, any challenges that I experienced through the day. And then I have takeaways from that challenge that would be in a different kind of section that I go through. What wins that I have, what went well, and then what did I learn for that day. And again, it takes me 2 minutes or something in the morning time, and then maybe the evening takes me 5 minutes. For me, probably one of the key things for that is setting the rating for the day between 1 and 10. I've heard people that do like a plus or minus for the day. And in my eyes, what that does is like a plus or minus as bare minimum as you can. Then you could say, was the day good? Was the day bad? I maybe went a little bit more complicated by doing 1 through 10, but I like that. And then, of course, at my weekly or monthly, quarterly, and all of those that they roll up, and I get to see the average of that time span of what my what my rating was for that time. For me, that gives me kind of insight of, should I be changing things or modifying or tweaking X, Y, Z, whatever it is. I really like that. If there was one thing that I would suggest if you're not doing some sort of system like this, is just to, track your days. And you could be as simple as a plus or minus. That's it. Was today a plus? Was today a minus? And then that's it. If you want to do 1 through 10, that would be fine too. And then, you just would have a little bit more variance, but it probably doesn't even need to be that complicated. Was today a good day? Was today a bad day? Done. That's it. And I think that one thing would be hugely beneficial for whoever could do that.
Yeah, and I guess I did mention it, but when I'm going through at night and planning for the next day, I'm reviewing the current day. So I look at the list I made the night before, and I cross off the things that I accomplished. If I didn't accomplish them, I move them to the next day, or I just, figure out if it's something I still want to do and then add that to my next one. So having that plan, and then also going back kind of similar to yours of how you're rating the day and giving it, plus or minus or going through the scale, I'm kind of reevaluating or thinking about what I did that day compared to what I wanted to do, and if they lined up, and then trying to plan things ahead like that. So, it's a small 5-minute thing for me, if even 5 minutes, but it really helps me to set up my days, and it's nice to kind of have that plan, and then be able to be flexible for it to change over time.
So I guess now kind of going back to like the midday routines, my midday routine is going to change a number of times throughout the week. And so I referenced already, I teach a class on Monday and Friday mornings, and then I have, lunch basically, and then I go back to work for the evening time. On Tuesdays, I have a coffee meeting that I do pretty well as a staple every week on Tuesdays. And it's kind of like a meeting of the minds. We just talk about kind of things like this. And then Wednesdays, that's today. In fact, we're recording the podcast. Spoiler alert. We record on Wednesdays, I guess. Thursdays is my day if I need to do any final touches of editing this podcast, or if I have something extra, a project I could work on or whatever, that's kind of reserved for that Thursday time. And then on Friday, again, I teach in the morning time. Saturdays are a little bit of a weird day, I guess, for kind of both of us. That changes up our morning routine a little bit, because we have a class that we do, a martial arts class that we do on Saturday mornings, that starts at 6. And so that kind of throws off the morning, at least mine, I would imagine yours as well, it throws off the morning routine, I would say, greatly.
I would say I have my own morning routine for that day.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing it long enough that it's just, we just do it.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. So, and then Saturday after, and see, the nice thing is, selfishly for me, we set that class time for 6 o'clock, and we're there 2 o'clock, 2 hours. So we're there from 6 to 8. By the time I get home, my kids and wife are getting ready to, or waking up or just finishing up making breakfast or something like that. So then I have the rest of the day and in fact, the weekend to kind of go about and be with family. And then on Sundays, is family dinner night. And we've done this for a handful of years at this point. My wife and I, we host our parents every week. They come over and we have dinner. And so that's a standard staple that we've done we've been married for 10 years. We've probably done some sort of family meal every week for, I would say, close to 9 years at this point. It was breakfast for a long time before the kids. Now we have kids, so we do evening time. But that's really nice, and it's great to have, her parents and my parents here, and they get along, and it's an opportunity for the kids to see grandma and grandpa, the whole thing. And so that's my week, and that's kind of my standard, kind of staples throughout the week.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the week changes depending on what's going on, but more often than not, my other job, I do work at a Starbucks in the morning. That's why I'm up early, and I'm there in the morning. So I work Starbucks Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Sundays. Sometimes I have one of those days off, depending on what's going on. So, I plan to work those days as it is. But then Mondays I have off of Starbucks, Wednesdays I have off, and Saturdays I have off. So, during the week, I just do other things around the times I'm not working between teaching and Starbucks. But I mean, generally on Tuesday nights, I try to go see a movie with some friends. Wednesday nights, we come here and record. Friday afternoons, I have a scheduled phone call that I do every week. We have our classes, or our class, the class that we take Saturday morning. And then on Sundays, I go to my parents' house and visit with them and my brother. So, I mean, aside from those weekly staples, I just kind of go throughout the week and do things here and there. But it is nice to have that, I know on this day we do this, on this day I do this, on this day I have class, on here it's nice to have those reoccurring things. And if anything, it's just that routine and that schedule of, okay, it's Sunday, so on Sunday I do this. Somebody might find that to be like a constraint or restrictive, but I love it. I love the fact that I know that every Sunday I go here, I do this. Every Saturday morning we do this. Every Tuesday night I do this. I love that routine and that pattern of having that set scheduled type thing. Of course, things come up, things happen. I don't do it every single week because of extraneous events, but having a typical week look like that is awesome. I enjoy it. And then start over next week and do it all again.
Yeah, and talking about having kind of a staple or scheduled week, people sometimes frown upon it or think we're crazy or silly or something like that. Like I tell them, I read for 30 minutes every day. Like, what, you have a set time for reading? I do. And I heard this, and I was already doing this, but this was a good way to put it. People go through so much time and effort of creating a workout routine to go to the gym. Okay, I have the time to go to the gym. It's from this time to this time. And then when I'm there, they're doing these exercises, and before they go there, they're researching, okay, I'm going to do this one and that one and this one. And there's so much time spent on that. And almost nobody spends any sort of time or effort into growing their brain, spending time reading. So having a set aside time for reading, like having a set aside time for exercising, I feel is incredibly beneficial, because if I'm going to put the time and effort to schedule out and devote and to, create this big workout plan, I should probably do something at least similar or in line with that, if not even more, to grow my brain. But people don't necessarily do that. And so they're like, oh, well, I'll read when I have time. And I mean, you don't have, that doesn't happen. Your time is going to be filled with something. I mean, I can't imagine people are sitting around thinking, man, I'm all done for the day. What should I do now? No, people are always strolling on their phones or, whatever people do. But it's have a set aside scheduled time to learn something, to read something, just like you would schedule a time for exercising. Be that diligent with it. It's your brain, your mental capacity, your knowledge. Grow your knowledge.
Yes, sir. So what are you reading now?
Yeah, I'm still on the 48 Laws of Power. Again, this is a big book. Last time we talked, I think I was on chapter 13 or law 13. Now I'm on law 23. And so I'm, coming about the halfway point. I've really liked this one so far. I really like that he breaks it down and tells you, what the law is, kind of like the break down the cliff notes of the key points, and then he goes through of what like the actual law actually is. What are the key points that make up the law. And then of course he's got things that back up, like, okay, this person from history did this and look how it worked out for them. This person did a terrible job at this and look how it worked out for them. And so having that kind of multiple times to look at this type of information, I feel is very beneficial, because it's nice. It's not like I'm reading it multiple times, but I'm reading the same idea or concept multiple times in multiple different ways with applications that, these people did it, these people didn't do it. Let's talk about what happened, and then this is the actual. Very beneficial. So again, if you haven't heard of or checked out, or you had it on your list and you haven't done it yet, 48 Laws of Power, I really like it. Obviously, take some time. Don't expect to finish this in a week. Read it. It's a good book. It's a good one. So, would you have anything to add for our talk today about routines and standard operating procedures, at least as they pertain to us?
No, sir. I mean, we could go on for a long time about procedures and routines and everything like that, but I think this is a good overview of kind of optimal and current, and just, working through, some ideas, and then, hopefully people are able to develop their own routines, or they already do have their own routines, and they know, kind of what we're talking about here, and how things change and how things work better than other things, and hopefully they're implementing things into their life to help keep themselves on track and to help themselves be better.
I guess as you're talking about that, I just wonder, if you're listening to this and you heard our kind of routines, our standard operating procedures of what we do, and you felt that we missed something, reach out to us. We'd love to know, if there's something we can add that would benefit us. I would be more than happy to try a different iteration of what I'm doing now to add something of value to my day. And, if there was something that you really gained from listening to this, some key insights, it'd be nice to know that as well. You can find us at pretty well all the socials. Search for the Prestigious Pod.
Just Prestigious Pod.
Prestigious Pod. At Prestigious Pod. Master Kent, he's the social media guy, so he knows all of that. All right. Yeah, I'm glad you guys have been listening, and hopefully we're helping you to add value to your life. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take initiative.